Welcome to the fifth lesson in Desktop UI Automation in LeapTest. In this lesson, we are looking into a case that opens and uses three different applications. First, we start up the LeapTest demo application as we have seen in the previous lessons. We will search for a specific contact person and then click on the email link. This will cause the default mail program on my computer, in this case Outlook, to compose a new mail. We'll set a few fields in the mail and then send it. To verify that the mail was correctly received, we will use the web automation features in LeapTest to open up Gmail in a Chrome browser, all within the same flow. We start out in a known scenario with a login and a search for a contact person, in this case Robinson Crusoe. Let me just run the case. The next thing is to click on the email link by adding a click UI element block and capturing the email link. Like this. Let's just run this click block. As we can see, this opens up a new mail with the email pre-filled. The Outlook window is now the active window, so we can now add a few building blocks operating on this window. First, we will set the subject using a set value block. And specify the value. Where are you? Then we use a click UI element to click on the send button. Like this. Let's run the two mail blocks and see the mail getting sent. The mail closed down after sending it, so we assume that it was sent off and that it will be received in the right inbox. To open up Gmail, we're gonna add a start web browser block. Those of you that are familiar with web automation knows this block very well. It will open the selected browser and navigate to the URL specified. In this case, gmail.com. When we select Desktop UI as the case type, we have access to the entire web automation features. The other way around is not true. If we select web automation as the case type, we can't use the Desktop UI features. This is caused by the fact that the Desktop UI features will only run on a machine where the LeapTest agent is installed, whereas the web automation cases can run both under the LeapTest agent but also under any Selenium-based environment. So the rule of thumb is all building blocks will work on a machine where the LeapTest agent is installed, and if you want to run tests on, for instance, SourceLab or BrowserStack, you should select the web automation case type, as it will limit you to the building blocks supported for those environments. Back to the actual case. I'll just run the start web browser, and we can see a new Chrome browser starting up, navigating to the login page for Gmail. The browser opened using the start web browser block is always cleared for cookies and cache, so we need to include the login in the flow. I'm using a click web element to set focus in the email field. Then I use a type web text to insert the email into the field, leaptest.evangelist. And finally, we click on the next button using a click web element. Clicking on the next button here. Let's just run it from inserting the email. Now we will do more or less the same with the password field. Start by clicking in the password field and then inserting the password. I'm just going to change the type to password to not reveal my secret password for this account. And then we use a click web element to click on the next button. So let's run these final web blocks to get into the inbox. And as we can see, we are now in the inbox and we can see that the mail has already arrived. So the final assert here is just to use a find web element to ensure that the right mail was received. Find web element. And what I'm going to capture here is the subject, just like this. Then I'm going to go into the strategy editor and I'm going to find a strategy that is based on the subject text. This seems to be the right one already. Instead of hard-coding the subject, I'm going to insert a dynamic field, just like this. So now I'm able to specify the subject of the mail that I'm looking at instead of having a hard-coded value. When I click Save, we can see that we now have a field on the Find Web Element block that we can use for inserting the dynamic subject. And I can pull the value from the place where I inserted it into the subject just by connecting it with a blue connector, just like this. If we can find this subject, we're going to pass the test case, just like this. So let's close down the browser, let's close down the demo application, and then change the subject a bit. Where are you now? So let's run this case end to end. So login, search for contact person, open an email, opening up the browser, inserting the username and the password, and then finding the mail finally. So what we can see here is that we ended up in past and that we found the element matching the subject inserted into the original mail inside this mailbox here. In this lesson, we have seen how we can move between different applications and technologies as part of one automation case. We have seen how easy it is to mix desktop automation with web automation and to share values between the two technologies.